fantastic things that have been produced and made on the island over this past year. It's been a brilliant year for creatives and producers and events and all sorts of things. I say it's been a great year. It's actually been the year of our island, 2018.
Oh, Jenny, were you proud of that? That was amazing.
So Jenny, we've got Jenny Wheeler and Nick Hawkes with us now. We're going to talk about Year of Our Island 2018, which is, of course, coming to an end.
Well, it's not
nearly
though, is it?
2019. Well, she's going to tell us more about it a little bit later. But before we do that, Jenny, just remind everyone how it actually came about in the first place.
So Year of Our Island was an action given to us by the Council of Ministers, and it was a project that was set about to try and engage people more in our environment, in our community, and to help people really start to appreciate and value maybe things they haven't seen before or done for a very long time. So it was about really connecting with people.
And Nick, it was a really good week as well, wasn't it? Because the weather was amazing. You were out and about quite a lot.
I know, I'm shocked. I've explored the island much more this year. It's one of the benefits of the job has been being able to get around the island, to a blend to loads of events, and I'm sure Jen will talk about those a bit more in a bit, but it's been a great year for it. The summer was amazing.
I think it's fair to say, Jen, that there have been people who've questioned the value of this, and I wonder how you yourselves involved in this project are able to do that, really.
So I guess it's an interesting question, and it depends where you start. What were your expectations is kind of always a place I begin from. I think perhaps in the first instance we maybe weren't quite clear enough about what to expect from Year of Our Island, and I think there were people that expected us to have this massive Liverpool City and Culture Year and big cranes crawling across the beach, and that was never the intention. It was always much more about working on a community basis, working in partnership with community groups, societies, artists, creators. It was about working with schools, and it wasn't about the great big bang. So the value is being measured on that local level.
And I suppose it's still evolving in some ways.
Yeah, it is. Right at the very beginning of the year, we certainly set ourselves some quite clear objectives and some ways to measure our success against those objectives. In January we'll really begin to pull that data together and understand how well we did, but even now when I look back at some of those, yes, it grew its own legs in a way, I suppose, really, or grew an extra leg, shall we say.
So what were some of your highlights then, Jenny?
I think Tynwald Day for me was probably my biggest highlight. We had so much going on. The sun was shining, but we had a vintage cinema bus we brought over to show some films to remind people about what the Alaman's been like in the past and what our culture is. We worked with Culture Van in that month, and we had a treasure hunt around St John's. We had just opened our garden that was in St John's too, and that was obviously with all the schools participating. And we also had our blackboard there, and if nobody saw our blackboard, it was a great big outline of the Alaman done by two Manx artists, Idiom. And they had given us a template for people to add on to what they loved about, or what they love about living on the Alaman and places that they love to go. And Tynwald Day, that blackboard just exploded with people coming and telling us all these magical places and their secret go-to spots. And it was just really wonderful. So that was my favourite day.
I have to say that there was a lot of it that sort of brought a lot of positivity to the year, where there was an awful lot of negativity in certain areas of what was going on in the news and whatnot, so it sort of added to that. But one of the other things that Year of Our Island did was provide grants, didn't you, Nick, to sort of enable, whether it was events or people producing things, to actually get these things done.
So I think one of the key things is that throughout the year we've tried to challenge the idea that there's nothing to do on the Isle of Man. There's loads of stuff to do, but we wanted to enhance that throughout 2018, and our grant funding stream, it wasn't just about events, it was projects as well. We've actually worked to fund about 45 or 46 projects throughout the year. Many of them have been new projects for this year, and what we've really been looking at is carrying those projects forward past 2018 into 2019. It's been really great to hear some of the feedback from some of our partners who will be going on to host those events in the future, or will be completing the projects at the start of 2019. So it shows it shows that we've sort of been working to develop not just the event scene, but also the range of activities that people can get up to on the island.
I think what was really important was that through that grant scheme, it was about enabling people to do things for themselves. You know, had we come along for a year and just put on a whole host of events and said, hey, look, we've done all this stuff, then that wouldn't have existed next year. So it was far, far more important for us to encourage and enable people to either put on a brand new event or to enhance existing events and maybe take a little bit of a risk that they hadn't done previously because it didn't quite have the capital behind them. And as Nick said, there have been over 25 events in particular that we've given that funding and that support to, and 12 of those were brand new. We've not got the figures back yet, but we're hoping at least half of those we will see again replayed next year and hopefully every year beyond.
And we are in a library this afternoon.